Alrighty, Rugby League, in my opinion, faithful. Welcome back to the comments show. Doing something a bit different this week. We're on YouTube. We're trying this out, YouTube exclusive. Coop's got himself a camera, and we're going to see how it goes. And this might be how we do things going forward. Got the nice setup here with the background, and you'll see in a bit. We're going to have the questions coming up on the screen. So I think this may be the way to go if people get behind it and people still want to tune in to see our faces. Of course, as I alluded to before, I'm joined by Cooper, as you can clearly see. How are you today, man?
Yeah, I'm good. And apologies, I didn't really bother with the background, but next week I won't have it so trashed. But yeah, no, I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. I've not been up to much. Actually, today I watched The Matrix for the first time. Have you ever seen that?
No, I haven't.
No. It's on Netflix.
Okay. Yeah.
Watch it. I'm going to watch the second one tomorrow, and then the third one the day after. All three of them got put on Netflix. I wanted to watch it for a while, but it's one of those where, I don't know, I'd seen stuff about how good it is and like the story and that. So it would have been probably not even a month ago. I looked on Netflix to see if it was there, and then I looked up to see what it was on, and it wasn't on any streaming platform that I've got. And then yesterday I got the notification that has been put on. So I chucked it on. Definitely lived up to the hype for me. I was glued. I'm not usually, I like watching movies, and obviously the movies I'm into, I get really into. And obviously as well, I usually watch movies that I've seen before. I've seen like a lot of movies growing up, whatever. So it's just not the same type of, intent watching the film because obviously you've seen it before. But with this one, I felt what I hadn't had for a while, and that was literally I was glued to the screen the whole time, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah, well, out of curiosity, what's your favorite? This is just a random question, because I was thinking of it earlier today, and with you bringing up Netflix, it just kind of popped back into my mind. Would Netflix be your favorite kind of overall streaming platform, or?
For me, it's actually probably Disney Plus, just because I'm a pretty big Marvel, Star Wars. I'm a bit of a geek in that sense. I like the geeky superhero stuff, and of course, that's all. I mean, Disney owns that much that I actually received a call from yesterday, and they've just said that they've bought me. I don't know why, but they're buying everything these days. So yeah, but that's mine.
Yeah, Disney Plus is my favorite too. I think it's mad underrated.
Yeah, the thing is with Netflix, it goes through periods, whereas like right now I haven't watched Netflix in a few months, but because I saw they'd put on there, I jumped on there, and it's usually every few months I'll binge Netflix for like a week, because what'll happen is they'll put up a block of movies that I really like, and I'll go and I'll watch them all, or movies that I want to see, and I'll watch them all within like the space of a week, and then there's nothing really for the next month or so, nothing that I'm too interested in. I feel like though with Netflix, their whole shtick moving forward is mainly they're going to be looking to get out like their own high budget movies and TV shows and stuff, which I know they've been doing anyway, but because they've been so popular, they're probably going to focus on that in the future, and they're still obviously going to get the rights to other movies and TV shows, but I don't think they really care as much. Whereas then I know Disney Plus have obviously got their own Marvel shows and that, which I've been watching, and The Mandalorian and such. But it's sort of like one of those will come out every few months, and there'll be sort of one show going on at a time, as in a Disney Plus original or one movie that they put out. And they're focusing on getting a lot of the other content out there. Whereas Netflix, it's just, you can tell that they're heavily invested in getting their Netflix original stuff out there. And so, it's sort of like, it's hard to say because they've got like the Marvel movies and stuff coming out in the TV shows, as I said, on Disney Plus, in terms of Disney Plus originals. But I'd say the Netflix originals are probably better overall, just because there's more, and that's obviously original content. It's not like, I don't know, it's weird to explain, not like Marvel TV shows and stuff, I guess, which is why people are watching them. They're not watching them because they're Disney originals, whereas people watch Netflix originals because they've got that reputation about them. So I feel like that's their strong point, really. But anyway, what has that got to do with Rugby League? Nothing really. But good question. And just quickly before we get into the questions, I was meaning to ask you went away on the weekend with mates camping. Of course, you live in Lismore, where they're is not a lockdown. So how was that?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, the first thing I did when I got out there was check my phone to see if I had service, and I didn't. And that was probably a good thing because I'm probably a bit too addicted to my phone. I haven't checked my screen time on that, but it was kind of good to just actually not be able to use it at all. I mean, I could have used it, but I wouldn't have been able to look at Facebook or Instagram or anything. And the whole time I was spewing, I was like, "Oh, I'm missing the games. I'm missing the games today." And then because I didn't have service, I didn't realize that they postponed them to obviously Sunday and today. So yeah, I kind of just got on the drinks with a few mates, kind of went fishing, just kicked back, relaxed. It was good.
Yeah, nice. Well, the important thing is that you're back here today
Yeah.
for the comment show. And on that, we'll get into the first question. The question I'm really interested in answering, although we weren't around at the time. You can see it on your screen now from Ethan Macy. How would the game look today if the Super League War never happened? Now, we don't know too much about the Super League War, obviously being you or I, and let's be honest, a lot of people don't know a lot about the Super League War. They know what they got at face value, but unless you were involved, you don't really know the vast intricacies and the ins and outs. I've heard people speak about the Super League War since it's happened. For Footy and Frothies earlier this year, Daggy and I were lucky enough to sit down, have a couple of drinks with Alan Whitaker, Rugby League author, who sort of gave his perspective of someone who was involved in the game from an author standpoint at the time. I actually also recently saw, I'm not sure if you've seen it on KO, the Ricky Stewart documentary that they released for Retro Round. He actually spoke about his situation during the Super League War and gave a bit of a player's perspective, and it's sort of an insight that we haven't really gotten before, so that was good to see. I'll kick us off here, though. If not for the Super League War, at the very least, I don't think the competition would currently be called the National Rugby League or the NRL. I think we would have eventually gotten to something around the NRL or something. Maybe it'd still just be the ARL, to be honest, the Australian Rugby League, because, and I'm not saying it was a pivotal thing, the Super League coming in to make the ARL become the NRL or the merger, because obviously there wouldn't be a merger. It'd still be the Australian Rugby League. I know it's not a big thing, but I guess we could say that we would still be playing as the Australian Rugby League right now instead of the National Rugby League. That's just a small thing. Another interesting thing, I'll let you speak in a minute. I'm sorry. I'm just getting all this crap out that I've heard. Another thing is, and it sort of makes sense, the game today is basically what the Super League wanted, what Super League was intended to do. Get players paid to a more professional standard, get players paid more money, and also the big thing was pay TV. So Fox, that coming into the equation. So pretty much the game today, funnily enough, not entirely, but a lot of it is not too far off what the Super League was intended to be.
Yep.
Would have we gone the way of pay TV anyway? I think yes, eventually. Like every other league in the country, like pretty much every professional league in the world, there is some pay TV element in some way. So yeah, I think we would have gotten there eventually. Would we have gotten there as quickly as we did? Probably not. I feel like, yeah, a lot of things would have happened eventually, but just not as quick as they did. What's your take on all this, and how could you answer this question as someone who also wasn't around back then and doesn't have a whole lot of knowledge?
See, that's the thing. I'm really, really uninformed when it comes to this whole Super League war and everything that happened. Like I've heard it in bits. I was listening to the Matty Johns podcast not long ago, and he was talking about when the Super League kind of came knocking down him and Joey's door and were offering him heaps and heaps and heaps, and he didn't go. But yeah, I don't really know a whole lot. Like I kind of know the gist of what happened. It was a new league or whatever, trying to kind of take over. And it was for the most part the same game, but different in ways as well. But yeah, honestly, if I was to make a proper comment on like how it would look today, I'd be lying because I really don't know enough about it to kind of comment on, to be honest.
And realistically, even the people who were involved, it was so long ago. What was it now? 23 years ago, 24 years ago. was the year the Super League actually began. The Super League war technically started in 1995. But even those blokes, because it was over 2 decades ago, we don't really know how the game would look today if it never happened.
Yeah.
Realistically, we can make guesses and stuff. Like I said, it probably wouldn't be called the NRL because the NRL came as a result of the Super League war. So we can make guesses and such, but it's one of those things too. It's the butterfly effect. If the Super League war never happened, there's probably stuff completely unrelated that somehow connected down the track that would have never happened either. Like, for example, I don't know. I know it's a weird one, but if the Super League war never happened, there's a possibility we wouldn't be alive because of a butterfly effect.
Yep.
Spiraling on and on and on.
Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, everything happens for a reason, and that's what happened. And I think we can at least safely say that we would not have the game we have today exactly as it is today, whether you like it or not, if not for the Super League war and everything before that and everything after that. It's just how it goes. So apologies to Ethan there that we couldn't give an actual outline as to what we think the game would look like, but yeah, there are people out there though who I would be interested to hear from on this topic. One in particular who I will be interviewing later this week. I've got 2 interviews set up this week for the Rugby League, in my opinion, podcast. So stay tuned for those. And one of those guys, they weren't involved or anything, but it's just someone whose opinion I would like to hear about the Super League war. So stay tuned for that one later this week. Anything else you can really add?
To be honest, no. Yeah. I wish I was around back then so I could give a proper comment, but yeah, I wasn't. So, and I've never really asked my old man about it either. So yeah, I don't know enough.
Yeah, well, I know my dad at least. I don't think he cared that much because he's a Penrith fan. Penrith went to Super League, so we just followed Penrith there. And I think that's what many fans actually did. Yes, there were those who have gone on to never watch rugby league again, and people who are disgusted by it, whatever. But I think, there were a lot of fans who just thought, oh, well, I'm going to support my team no matter where they end up.
Yeah.
Now we have Game Dots who asks, how can the Raiders improve? They've not been too bad recently, actually, for mine. They've won, I think it's three in a row. Yes, they did lose to Newcastle, who I don't think Newcastle are a top 8 side or anything. But again, recent weeks they haven't been too bad. This is the thing about rugby league. We're very quick to jump if a team, especially the Tigers, I've noticed with how they've been recently, at least this year. And again, it's a media thing. The Tigers just lost earlier this week. They are apparently in a crisis. Madge might be getting sacked, etc. But no one brings up the fact that they won 2 of their last 3 before that.
Yeah.
And that Manly end up flogging them in the end. But they put up one of the better performances against a full-strength Manly side this year when looking at the bottom 8 teams. I just feel like we're a bit quick to jump sides. So I don't think the Raiders necessarily need to improve too much based off of how they've looked the past month. It seems like their big positive for them has been their forward pack led by Corey Harawira. I think if they're a chance of making the top 8, which I think they still are, it's going to be off the back of consistent, strong performances by their forward pack. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'd agree. I guess the most obvious answer, the most obvious answer would be a new halfback, but Sam Williams hasn't even been bad for them. He's been doing his job and well. So, I just think the Raiders obviously got off to the start they did. They didn't make it easy for themselves, but I think they'll probably roll on into making the 8. And whilst I don't think they'll do a whole lot in the finals, I think they'll still be one of those danger teams that you can't rule out. Because if you look at their side, they still have a really good side. I know they lost George Williams and Bateman, but you can't take that side seriously. So for the Raiders improving, I just kind of think they have to have a few dominoes kind of fall their way and get a bit lucky and just kind of let everything fall into place because, like I just said, the team has enough talent, maybe not to win the comp anymore, but to definitely be a consistent finals team. So, yeah.
Yeah, we'll move on now to a statement from N. Thompson. Jerome Hughes is the second best halfback in the competition. I certainly agree. I think there are a lot of contenders for who it has been, but personally, just from what I've seen, he's been Melbourne's best player this year, and we've seen how good Melbourne have been this season. At least for me, he's been their best player. What would you say, Coop?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. I mean, yeah, I guess so. I usually would always be kind of obviously Cleary's number one. Everyone knows Cleary's number one. I was just kind of trying to toss up whether it was Cherry Evans or Hughes, but Hughes has definitely been in much better form.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I didn't even try to it didn't even really come across my mind that Hughes could be the second best halfback in the comp until someone asked the question, and I kind of really thought about it. So yeah, I guess he is.
Yeah, well, we move on now to a question from our man Jacob Thompson. Who should the Titans wingers be next season? Now, when he asked the question, he suggested Greg Marzu. I think he's definitely got to be in there, whether he's on the wing or in the centres. That's
Yeah.
another thing. And honestly, you could say that about a couple of players at the Titans. Like, I think Jaden Campbell's got to be a first grader next season, and he's either going to be on the wing or in the centres. I'd say probably on the wing. I think at least in attack, Philip Sami's a good player on the wing, but I'd argue our best back consistently this season, although he's been out injured, and Corey Thompson in terms of attack and defence. He's been great. So I think he's got to be there. I'd say for now, I'd say Jaden Campbell and Corey Thompson. And Jacob, I know you brought up Greg Marzu, and that's probably because I'd have him in the centres.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Jaden Campbell, as naturally talented as he is, and I think he is an out-and-out first grader, I just feel like on the wing he may get. Actually, Jaden Campbell's obviously he's quite skinny, but is he on the taller side or no?
Well, I'm not too sure, but I mean, if
Yeah.
you've got a small, skinny player, the best place for them is probably on the wing. So
Yeah. I guess maybe I'm just kind of thinking of the modern winger nowadays. Is you kind of usually your beefy kind of off the back, when you're on the back foot, kind of coming up with those hard carries, and I just don't know if Jaden Campbell can provide that. But then again, does it really because when Latrell went to fullback, everyone kind of thought your fullback was the one that kind of did a lot of work and kind of covered the most meters on the ground and that. And Latrell's kind of showed that not all fullbacks have to be like that. So maybe Jaden Campbell can be a new type of winger in the comp. But like you said, it's hard because AJ Brimson's such a good player and you can't move him for Jaden Campbell. But to have someone like Jaden Campbell stuck in reserve grades, it would be hard to keep him out of the team pretty much. So at the moment, I'd probably pick Marsview and Thompson on the wings. But if either one of those get injured, I wouldn't be complaining if Jaden Campbell made it into the side. Maybe in the 14.
yeah.
But then he can only. I guess he can cover the halves, fullback. You could probably chuck him at 9. Yeah, probably. Yeah, 14 would probably make the most sense, I'd say.
Yeah, and the last question of the show, also from Jacob Thompson. How much do you see the Sharks improving next season? Now, Jacob is a Cronulla fan, so I'm sure he'll be listening to our answers on this one intently. They've signed Dale Finucane, they've signed Nico Hines, they've signed Cam McInnes. I feel like I'm forgetting someone, but I don't. I'm either having a mind blank or I feel like there were 4 players. Or I think I might be thinking of the Bulldogs or the Broncos. Anyway, those are the big 3, I'd say, the big 3 signings for Cronulla next season. Well, I guess you could say the 4th one's Craig Fitzgibbon. The head coach has come in and I believe made those signings. So, Coop, I'll let you take us away. How much do you see them improving next season? And I guess we'll give a prediction as to where we think they'll end up this season and next season to show how we think they'll improve or regress.
Yep. Well, at the moment, they're kind of one of those sides that could very well make the 8, but they're in that kind of handful of teams that you just don't really know about. And then if they do make the 8, they're not going to do a whole lot. But adding 3 players like that, they're 100% going to improve. My problem's just with the halves. Now, Nico Hines has shown his ball playing ability, so I have no problem with him going into the halves. It's more just we spoke about it on a podcast not long ago. Who the halves combo is going to be, because a Hines and Moylan combo doesn't really impress me a whole lot. But yeah, they're going to pretty much have every other piece there. Dale Finucane's a great signing, and I think a lot of people forget that they did sign Cam McInnes because he hasn't been playing this year, who's a really good signing as well. And I don't know if they're going to play him at 9 and bring Blake Brayley off the bench, or if they're just going to play McInnes at 13. But I mean, 9 makes the most sense because they have a lot of good forwards. So this year, I kind of, whereabouts are they now? I have them either finishing 8th, 9th, kind of around there. And next year, I don't think they improve a whole lot on the ladder, but I do think they improve a whole lot as a team. So I'm definitely going to have them in my top 8, maybe 6th, and they'll definitely be a better side. But there's just sides that are much better than them at the moment, and I have to have above them.
Yeah, look, right now I probably would agree. It's hard, as I said, it's a schmoz as to how the top 8 is going to turn out. There are only 4 games left, and honestly, I'm finding it hard to give you an answer. Like the Titans, at the time of recording, find themselves in 7th and have been in good form recently. As to Canberra overall, 3 of their past 4. So at the moment, you'd have to say Titans, Canberra, purely off of the past month of football. But then again, I think last time we brought up something to do with who's going to finish 7th and 8th. I think I said maybe it would be Cronulla and Newcastle, or Cronulla and Canberra, or whatever. So yeah, things do change. Things do look a bit different. At the moment, I would have to say they finish 9th, just miss out. But next season, I would say 6th or 7th. They'll improve. And yeah, well, how much is it really improving? Because I know I've tipped them to finish 9th, but they've made the finals every year, as I've brought up before, since 2015 as well. So based off of how they've been year on year, it wouldn't be too big an improvement if they dropped out quickly this year to 9th and didn't make the finals and made it again next year. Realistically, like an overall sort of view, it wouldn't be improving too much. But yeah, it'll at least make them, I'll put it this way. In recent years, they've been scraping into the finals. And this year, if they make it again, I think it's confirmed at this point, if they make it, they'll scrape in.
Yep.
It would make them a team that would finish in the bottom half of the top 8, but they probably wouldn't be scraping in. I think they'd be home and hosed with about 2 weeks to go, at least. They'd have a team good enough to do that, and a team that would challenge the top sides just that bit more. I think that's about where I would put Cronulla. You got anything else to add to Jacob's question there?
Not really with Jacob's question, but with you saying the Titans go on 7th, I know the Eels are sitting at 4th at the moment, but they've got a tough run home. Manly and the Roosters are kind of flying high at the moment. So do we see an Eels Titans first week of the finals, 6 v 7th?
If I feel like we're more likely to see them versus 5th versus 8th.
Okay.
I still feel like that's more likely. In fact, that's what I'll tip currently. I'll tip 5th versus 8th, Eels versus Titans, and I'd still tip the Eels to win that game.
Yeah. I mean, I hope so. I just want to see us win a finals game.
Yeah, well, what better team you used to do it against? No, well, we'd have to do maybe a watch along or sort something out for that one, as it would be our 2 teams going at it. You guys let us know in the comments below. Now that this is going on YouTube, you can comment straight in the comments below. Let us know as well what you think about the show being on YouTube as opposed to Spotify, or what's the other one? Apple Podcasts. I've been doing the interviews recently and uploading those to YouTube primarily, and they've been doing good business lately, I guess you could say. A lot of viewership. So I definitely want the eyes on this weekly product maximized as well. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this one turns out on there. And guys, as I said, if you've got any questions, you don't have to wait till the question sticker comes up the day of the show. You can always get in contact on Instagram DMs, Facebook message, or now in the YouTube comments. But other than that, I've been Oliver from Rugby League, in my opinion. I want to thank you guys for watching. I was about to say listening there. And Cooper, the lovely man, I want to thank you for joining me as always, and we will see you guys next week.